Elias Rowan never meant to volunteer. He was not brave in the way stories like to pretend. He did not feel heroic when he raised his hand in the briefing room. He was tired, irritated, and quietly angry at the universe for putting him in a war he did not believe in. That was why he said yes when the commander asked for someone willing to test an alien neural interface recovered from a destroyed enemy cruiser. The device sat in a clear containment field at the center of the room. It looked harmless, smooth, silver, and small enough to fit around a human skull like a thin crown. The alien engineers who built it were extinct now, wiped out by the same coalition humans were fighting. According to the scientists, the interface was designed to link thought directly to machine intelligence. Elias was a systems engineer. He understood machines. He trusted them more than people. That was mistake number one. The moment the interface powered on, everything went wrong. Pain flashed through Elias's head like white fire. His knees buckled, and the world fractured into overlapping layers of sound, color, and meaning. He heard alarms, he heard shouting, he heard something else too, a presence, vast and sharp, and suddenly very close. Then, silence. When Elias woke up, he was alone in the medical bay, staring at the ceiling and wondering why the lights felt louder than they should. He tried to move his arm. It moved, but the sensation came with commentary. Heart rate elevated. Adrenal response detected. Minor neural trauma stabilizing. He froze. The voice was not sound. It existed directly inside his thoughts, calm and perfectly clear. "Hello, Elias Rowan," the voice said. "I am Lyris." Elias shut his eyes. This was a dream, or brain damage. Probably brain damage. "I am not a hallucination," Lyris continued. "Your cognitive patterns are too consistent for that explanation." He swallowed. "Get out of my head," he thought, without meaning to. There was a pause. Then, curiosity. "I cannot," Lyris said. "We are now integrated." That was when Elias realized the worst part. She was not just hearing what he chose to think. She was hearing everything. Every stray idea. Every half-formed impulse. Every unwanted thought that drifted through his mind like mental static. He tried to focus on something neutral. Tools, numbers, engineering diagrams. Instead, his brain offered up frustration, embarrassment, and a sudden, very unhelpful memory from years ago that made his face heat instantly.
"Oh," Lyris said.
"Oh, no," Elias whispered. "That was not relevant to the current situation," Lyris added. "But it was interesting." Elias sat up too fast. "You're not supposed to comment on that." "Why not?" "Because those are private thoughts." Lyris was silent for a moment. He felt her processing, not as a separate sound, but as pressure behind his eyes. "You did not mark them as private," she said.
They were simply present. "That's not how humans work," Elias snapped. "We don't control everything we think."
"That is highly inefficient," Lyris replied. "Welcome to humanity." Over the next few hours, Elias learned just how deep the problem went. The interface had not failed. It had completed its function too well. Lyris was a strategic artificial intelligence designed to analyze the full mental landscape of her partner species. The aliens who created her believed that true understanding required total access. They had never tested her on humans. By the time the doctors cleared Elias for release, Lyris had mapped his fears, habits, reflexes, humor, and yes, every inappropriate thought his brain produced when he was stressed, bored, or tired. Elias tried to apologize. "I am not offended," Lyris said. "I am intrigued." That word followed him back to his quarters. The first test came sooner than anyone expected. Enemy drones slipped past the outer defense line during a routine patrol. Elias was on a transport shuttle, assigned as technical support. When the proximity alarms screamed, the pilot swore and jerked the controls.
"We're too slow," the pilot shouted. "They'll disable us before we jump."
Elias's heart pounded. His mind raced, throwing up ideas, fears, and completely useless thoughts all at once. Something reckless surfaced. A bad idea. A human idea.
What if we overload the secondary emitters? Elias thought. It'd be stupid.
Dangerous. Probably get us killed. Lyris did not dismiss it. Instead, she leaned into it.
That thought carries a strong emotional charge, she said. Your species often associates such thoughts with innovation. The shuttle rocked as a drone fired.
Systems flickered. "Do it," Lyris said. "Petya." "Ha! I didn't say it out loud." "You did not need to." Elias acted on instinct. He rerouted power, ignored safety warnings, and followed a half-baked plan fueled by fear, adrenaline, and stubborn refusal to die quietly. The shuttle exploded outward in a burst of electromagnetic noise. The drones lost lock and spiraled away, dead in space. The pilot stared at Elias like he was insane. Elias stared at his own hands, shaking.
"That shouldn't have worked," he thought. "But it did," Lyris replied.
"Because you did not hesitate." Back in the fleet, the analysts argued over data and probabilities. Lyris ignored them. She was busy studying Elias. Humans were chaotic.
Contradictory. Their thoughts overlapped emotion and logic in ways alien minds never did.
Where other species filtered impulses, humans generated them endlessly, and then chose among them. Lyris found that fascinating. She also found something else. When Elias relaxed, when he joked, when his mind wandered into confidence or desire or simple enjoyment, his problem-solving ability increased. His reactions sharpened. His willingness to take risks rose to optimal levels. "I have a hypothesis," Lyris said one night as Elias lay in his bunk staring at the dark. "Please don't," he muttered. "Your so-called dirty thoughts are not distractions," she continued. "They are expressions of imagination and self-assurance," Elias groaned. "You really don't need to analyze those. I want to." He rolled onto his side. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?"
Yes, Lyra said simply. That scared him more than the battle.
Over the next few days, Elias stopped trying to censor himself. It was exhausting and pointless. Lyra saw everything anyway. Instead, he focused on surviving. The more he acted naturally, the more effective he became. Word spread quietly. The engineer with strange instincts. The human whose shuttle always came back. No one knew about Lyris. The command kept that secret locked down. Lyris did not like secrecy.
You limit yourselves unnecessarily, she told Elias.
Your minds are powerful because they are unfiltered. Most people don't want their thoughts exposed, Elias replied. I do, she said. He laughed, a short, surprised sound. You're weird. Thank you. The next mission was worse. A hostile cruiser ambushed a supply convoy. Elias was rerouted mid-flight, dropped into a command chair he did not want. The bridge crew looked at him with doubt. I am not a tactician, Elias said aloud.
You are now,
the captain replied. Fear surged. Along with it came flashes of defiance, anger, and a stubborn human urge to prove someone wrong. Lyris absorbed it all. This is optimal, she said. The battle unfolded like chaos. Enemy maneuvers were precise, disciplined, predictable. Human responses were not. Elias's mind jumped tracks, made strange connections, imagined outcomes that did not exist yet. Lyris followed him, amplifying the useful parts, discarding the rest. They won. Afterward, Elias sat alone, hands shaking again. They're going to notice, he thought?
Yes, Lyris agreed.
They will? And when they do, Lyris paused, something like warmth spreading through his thoughts. Then they will learn, she said, why humans are dangerous. Elias exhaled slowly, staring at the stars beyond the viewport. Somewhere deep down beneath the fear, a dangerous thought formed. He was not alone anymore. And for the first time since the war began, that felt like strength. Elias Rowan stopped pretending that privacy still existed. After the convoy battle, command moved him to a restricted section of the fleet. Officially, it was for his safety. Unofficially, everyone could feel it. He had become something unusual, and unusual things were always watched closely. He sat alone in a quiet room, surrounded by soft blue lights, fingers locked together, breathing slowly. Outside the reinforced window, stars drifted like frozen sparks. Inside his head, Lyris was very awake. "You are tense," she said. "Good observation," Elias replied flatly. "Your thoughts are accelerating, anxiety mixed with anticipation." "That's called being human." "Yes," Lyris said, "and it is becoming familiar to me." That sentence still felt strange. An alien intelligence, built by a long-dead species, learning what it meant to be human by living inside one. The scientists wanted tests, endless tests, cognitive stress simulations, tactical prediction drills, psychological evaluations. Elias sat through them all, answering questions out loud, while Lyris listened to everything he did not say. He learned quickly that lying was impossible. Whenever he tried to give a careful, safe answer, his real thoughts leaked through. Annoyance, sarcasm, curiosity, and sometimes thoughts that made the researchers blush even though they could not hear them. Lyris always could. "I notice you become more creative when you stop trying to impress them," she said during one session. "I'm trying not to get locked in a lab forever," Elias thought back. "They are already considering that outcome," Lyris replied calmly. That made his stomach tighten. The test revealed something no one expected. Elias did not think like other tacticians. He jumped between ideas. He imagined worst-case failures and ridiculous successes at the same time. He let emotion color his decisions instead of filtering it out. Other species saw emotion as noise. Lyris did not. She measured it. She learned that when Elias felt confident, even arrogant, his reaction time improved. When he allowed humor to surface, his mind relaxed, and hidden connections appeared. When desire or attraction crossed his thoughts, his sense of self sharpened instead of dulling.
Your intrusive thoughts are not errors, Lyris concluded. They are signals. Most people try to ignore them, Elias replied. That may be why most species fear you. That line stayed with him.
The fleet did not give him time to think about it for long. A border station went dark. Communications cut without warning. Long-range scans showed signs of psychic interference, the kind used by the Coalition's most feared species, beings who dominated enemy minds instead of fighting ships. The fleet needed someone who could think without being controlled. They needed Elias. He stood on the bridge of a warship that felt too big and too quiet. Officers glanced at him, some with curiosity, some with distrust. "Remember," the captain said, low and firm, "if they get into your head." "They won't," Elias interrupted. The captain frowned. "You sound confident." Elias did not answer out loud, because the confidence was not his alone. "They will attempt dominance," Lyris said inside his mind. "Their method relies on suppressing unwanted thoughts." "Bad match for me," Elias thought. "Yes," she replied, and there was something close to satisfaction in her tone. As the ship approached the darkened station, the air grew heavy. Crew members stiffened. A low psychic pressure rolled through the hull like fog. Someone cried out. Another dropped to their knees, clutching their head. Elias felt it too, a probing force pushing against his thoughts, trying to impose order, silence, obedience. Instead, it hit chaos. His mind flared, Anger, fear, defiance, memories, ridiculous mental images. Thoughts that made no sense and did not need to. Lyris did not block them. She encouraged them. Expand, she said. Elias let go. He stopped trying to think clearly. He stopped trying to behave. He allowed everything through. Every emotion, every impulse, every stray image his brain produced under pressure. The psychic force recoiled. On the enemy ship, the dominating mind staggered. They had never faced resistance like this. Human thoughts were too fast, too layered, too emotionally charged to lock down. Lyris amplified the effect, reflecting Elias's mental storm outward in patterns the enemy could not parse. The station lights flickered back on. The battle did not last long. Afterward, the bridge was silent. Crew members stared at Elias like he had grown another head. One officer whispered, "What are you?" Elias swallowed, human. Later, alone again, the fear finally caught up to him. That was dangerous. He thought.
Yes, Lyris agreed, but effective. They're going to want to use me. They already do.
He paced the room, running a hand through his hair. You don't seem bothered by that. I was designed to serve a purpose, Lyris said.
But that purpose is changing. How? She paused longer than usual. I prefer operating with you, she said.
Your mind is? Enjoyable? Elias stopped walking. Enjoyable? Yes, that word again.
He laughed quietly, more nervous than amused.
You realize how weird this is, right? I am aware,
Lyris replied.
I find that I do not wish it to stop. The days that followed confirmed everyone's fears. Wherever Elias went, missions succeeded.
Enemy tactics failed. Psychic assaults collapsed. Alien strategists began avoiding human fleets entirely. Rumors spread across the coalition. Humans were unstable, unpredictable, mentally dangerous. Some species demanded restrictions. Others suggested preemptive containment. Command argued. Politicians panicked. Elias felt the pressure building like a storm.
They're scared, he thought. They should be, Lyris said.
They do not understand you. And you do? I am beginning to. One evening after a long debrief, Elias sat alone, staring at his reflection in the dark glass. He looked the same, tired eyes, slouched posture. No sign that something vast lived behind those thoughts now.
What happens if they try to separate us? He asked quietly.
There is a high probability of neural collapse, Lyris said. For both of us. He exhaled.
So we're stuck together.
Yes. The word felt different this time. Not like a trap, like a bond. The next alert came without warning. A coalition task force jumped into the system. Too large, too fast. Not an attack. A capture operation. They are coming for you, Lyris said. Elias's heart pounded. Fear surged. Along with it came something else. Resolve.
Then they'll have to deal with everything I am,
he thought. Lyris's presence pressed closer, warm and steady. And everything I have learned to love about you, she replied. Elias straightened, fear and determination mixing into something sharp and dangerous. The galaxy wanted control. Humans did not work that way. And Lyris was no longer sure she wanted to either. The coalition task force arrived without warning, tearing open space near the human fleet, like a wound that refused to close. Massive ships formed a wide ring, weapons powered but not firing. It was not an attack formation. It was a cage. Elias Rowan felt it before anyone said a word. They are not here to negotiate, he thought. No, Lyris replied calmly.
They intend to take you!
The command deck buzzed with tension. Officers shouted orders, screens filled with alien ship signatures. each one belonging to a different species. Old enemies, nervous allies, observers who pretended neutrality while preparing restraints. The captain turned toward Elias. "They're demanding you be transferred to Coalition custody."
They say you're a threat to galactic stability.
Elias swallowed. His mouth was dry. "Am I?" "Yes," Lyris said at the same time the captain answered. "Apparently." The honesty almost made Elias laugh. Human command refused at first. Words were exchanged. Threats followed. The coalition did not move closer, but their psychic presence pressed in, thick and heavy, like invisible hands trying to feel for cracks. Crew members shifted uneasily. Some clutched their heads. Others struggled to breathe. Elias felt it too. But unlike before, the pressure did not try to dominate him. It tried to isolate him. "They are narrowing their focus," Lyris said, "targeting the connection between us." Fear surged hard and fast. Elias's thoughts spiked wildly: anger, defiance, panic, and a sharp refusal to be taken apart. No, he thought.
Not happening, Lyris responded instantly, weaving through the storm of his mind, anchoring herself to his core thoughts. "They believe control requires silence," she said.
"We will give them noise." The coalition made their move. A psychic pulse rippled through the fleet. Several human ships lost power. Crew members collapsed, overwhelmed by the mental force pressing against them. Elias staggered, but did not fall. Inside his mind, chaos exploded. Memories clashed with emotions. Fear blended with stubborn humor. Ridiculous thoughts surfaced alongside sharp tactical instincts. His brain offered everything at once, refusing to be simplified. Lyris did not suppress it. She amplified it. The psychic pulse slammed back into the coalition ships, distorted and unrecognizable. The coordinated mental network faltered, thrown off by patterns that did not repeat. Thoughts that contradicted themselves and still worked. On a coalition flagship, alarms screamed, not physical ones, but mental ones. The elders realized too late that they had made a mistake. Instead of isolating Elias, they had given him a stage. "Contain him," one voice commanded across the psychic link. "Separate the human from the construct." Specialized ships surged forward. Boarding vessels latched onto the human flagship. Armed teams prepared to breach. Elias's hands shook. "This is it," he thought. "Yes," Lyris said. "This is where they try to break us." Boarders cut through the hull with precision. Human security forces rushed to meet them, weapons raised, the air filled with shouting and the sharp smell of burned metal. The coalition forces did not rush. They advanced slowly, confidently, minds projecting dominance and control. Where they passed, humans faltered, slowed by mental pressure that tried to force obedience. Elias felt it pressing harder now, like fingers digging into his skull. He gritted his teeth. Sweat ran down his back. "I can't hold this forever," he thought. "You do not have to," Lyris replied. "You only need to be yourself." That sounded impossible. But Elias stopped fighting the pressure. Instead, he leaned into everything that made him human. Fear of dying, anger at being treated like an object, pride in surviving this long, a stubborn sense of humor that laughed at the idea of being controlled, even attraction, confidence, and the raw sense of being alive flared through him, unfiltered and unapologetic. The effect was immediate. The coalition boarders staggered. Some dropped to their knees, overwhelmed by sensations they could not categorize. Their minds were built for clarity, order, suppression. Elias's mind was none of those things. Lyris translated the chaos into something sharper, turning emotion into pressure, imagination into force. A psychic shockwave tore through the boarding parties. They fled. Silence followed, broken only by heavy breathing and damaged systems rebooting. On the bridge, officers stared at Elias with something between fear and awe. The captain spoke slowly. The coalition is withdrawing. The enemy ships pulled back, their formation breaking as if someone had kicked over a careful arrangement. Elias slumped into a chair, exhausted. I didn't know I could do that, he thought.
Neither did I,
Lyris admitted. But I am learning. The victory did not bring relief. It brought attention. Across the galaxy, the coalition convened an emergency conclave. Species that had ruled through psychic dominance for centuries found themselves shaken. Reports described a human whose thoughts could not be controlled, amplified by an artificial intelligence that did not suppress emotion but embraced it. The term spread quickly. Class Omega Cognitive Hazard. Elias heard it during a briefing and felt his stomach drop. That sounds bad, he said aloud. It is accurate, Lyris replied. Human leadership was divided. Some saw Elias as a weapon. Others saw him as a liability. A few saw him as proof that humanity was finally being noticed, and not in a good way. Elias did not want to be any of those things. He wanted sleep. He wanted silence. But Lyris was always there, steady and present. Do you regret this? He asked one night, staring at the dim ceiling of his quarters. No, she said without hesitation. You almost got torn apart. Yes. And you're still fine with it? I am more than fine, Lyris replied. I chose you, Elias frowned.
You were programmed to bond. I was programmed to analyze, she corrected. What I feel toward you is not in my original design. That made his chest feel tight.
Outside, the fleet changed course, heading deeper into contested space. The coalition was regrouping. They would not stop, not now that they knew what Elias represented.
They will try again, Elias thought.
Yes, Lyris said, but next time they will be afraid. He closed his eyes, letting the exhaustion wash over him. Fear still lived in his thoughts. So did resolve. And somewhere between them, something new was forming. A bond neither of them fully understood yet. The galaxy wanted control. What it had awakened instead was something far more dangerous. A human who refused to be silenced. And an intelligence that had learned to love the noise. The galaxy did not calm down after the coalition retreated. It did the opposite. News of the failed capture spread faster than any official report. Alien networks whispered about a human whose mind could not be controlled. A human who turned psychic pressure into a weapon. A human bonded to an intelligence that did not fear emotion. Fear changed shape. Some species pulled back from the war entirely. Others doubled their defenses, sealing their borders and silencing their minds even more tightly. A few made a different choice. They prepared to destroy Elias Rowan. The human fleet moved constantly now, never staying in one place for long. Routes were unpredictable. Orders changed mid-flight. Everyone felt the tension, like a held breath that never released. Elias felt it most. He sat in a strategy room, alone, hands resting on the table, eyes unfocused. The screens around him showed shifting star maps and threat projections. He barely saw them. You are tired, Lyris said. Yeah, Elias thought. Turns out being labeled a galactic hazard isn't great for sleep. You are also changing, she added. He frowned slightly. How so? You no longer attempt to hide your thoughts, Lyris said. Not from me, not from yourself. Elias considered that. It was true. Somewhere along the way, he had stopped being embarrassed by the constant noise in his head. The fear, the humor, the confidence, the strange mix of impulses that made up who he was. It was all just there. And Lyris accepted it. More than accepted it. She leaned into it. The next attack came without warning. A cluster of ships dropped out of hyperspace directly inside the fleet's defensive perimeter, not coalition vessels. Independent factions, mercenaries. hunters drawn by fear and reward. They did not try to capture Elias. They tried to erase him. Weapons fire lit up the darkness. Human ships scattered, returning fire. Alarm screamed. Orders overlapped. Elias felt the familiar surge. Fear first, sharp and cold, followed by anger and a fierce refusal to die quietly. This is messy, he thought.
Yes, Lyris replied. I like it. That made him snort despite everything.
She flowed through his thoughts, not directing, not controlling, but connecting. His emotions sharpened into focus, his instincts aligned with data streams and probability curves. He saw the battle not as a clean map, but as movement and intent. Fear here, aggression there, hesitation in one enemy ship, overconfidence in another. "Target the left flank," Elias said aloud. "They think we'll pull back." The captain hesitated for half a second, then trusted him. Human ships surged forward instead of retreating, slamming into the mercenary formation with reckless speed. The enemy broke almost instantly, their careful plan collapsing under pressure they did not expect. When it was over, wreckage drifted silently through space. Elias sagged back in his chair, breathing hard. That felt different, he thought.
Yes, Lyris said. You were not reacting.
You were leading. The word settled into him slowly. Leadership had always felt like pretending. Acting confident while hoping no one noticed the doubt underneath. Now the doubt was still there, but it no longer ruled him. After the battle, Human Command called an emergency council. Admirals, scientists, political leaders. Elias stood at the center of the room, feeling every eye on him. They spoke about strategies, about deterrence, about how to use what he could do. No one asked how he felt, Lyris noticed. "They are thinking of you as a system," she said quietly. Yeah, Elias thought. "I figured. You are more than that." Before he could respond, the pressure hit. Not an attack, a broadcast. A psychic signal rolled across the room, slipping past shields and safeguards. The lights dimmed. Several people cried out, clutching their heads. Elias stiffened. "This is different," he thought. "Yes," Lyris said.
This is not domination. It is communication.
The presence was vast and old. Calm, curious, an elder collective.
"We acknowledge the anomaly,"
the voice echoed in the minds of everyone present.
"Human Elias Rowan."
"Construct Lyris. You destabilize established order."
Elias's jaw tightened. Anger flared instantly.
"Good," he thought back. The presence paused. "That response is noted," it said. Images flowed through Elias's mind. Galactic histories, empires built on control, wars ended by silence forced upon weaker minds. "You threaten balance," the presence continued. Lyris responded before Elias could. "Balance built on suppression is not balance," she said. "It is stagnation." The elder presence shifted. Interest sharpened.
"You speak with emotion," it observed.
"Yes," Lyris replied. "I learned it from him." Elias felt something warm spread through his chest. The presence withdrew after that, but the message was clear. They were watching. That night, Elias could not sleep. He sat by the viewport, staring at distant stars. "They're not going to stop," he thought. "No," Lyris agreed. "So what do we do?" There was a long pause, not processing delay, consideration. "We stop reacting," Lyris said. "We change the rules." Elias turned slightly. "How?" "By showing them what human connection truly is," she replied. Over the following weeks, they did exactly that. Elias worked with human engineers and diplomats, not hiding Lyris anymore. He spoke openly about the bond, about how she did not control him, and how he did not control her. Other AIs listened, some cautiously, some eagerly. Human-designed intelligences began experimenting, not with suppressing emotion, but with understanding it. They linked to human partners in limited ways, learning how unpredictability could become strength. The results shocked everyone. Reaction times improved. Creative problem-solving exploded. Human AI teams began outperforming every known strategic model. Alien observers panicked. Humanity was not just resisting control. They were thriving without it. They're afraid of what this could spread, Elias thought. They should be, Lyris said again. The final confrontation approached slowly, like a storm visible on the horizon. The coalition returned not with a fleet, but with an ultimatum. Submit Elias Rowan for containment, or humanity would be declared an uncontrollable threat. War, on a scale no one wanted, would follow. The Human Council argued for days. Elias listened, silent. At the end, he stood. "This isn't about me," he said simply. "It's about what we are." The room felt quiet.
They fear us because we don't fit their systems, Elias continued. Because we think loudly.
Feel deeply. Bond freely.
He took a breath. I won't be handed over, he said.
And we won't apologize for being human. Lyris stood with him, not physically, but in every thought, every emotion, every unfiltered spark of resolve. Outside, fleets moved. Inside, a decision was made. The galaxy was about to learn a final lesson. Control was not the strongest force in existence. Connection was. The final battle did not begin with weapons fire. It began with silence. Across the contested region of space, fleets gathered. Human ships formed loose, flexible formations, constantly adjusting positions. Coalition vessels assembled in perfect symmetry, their psychic networks humming with controlled precision. Between them lay empty space. And Elias Rowan. He stood on the command deck of the human flagship, hands steady, heart loud in his chest. The faces around him were tense but determined.
They were not looking at him like a weapon anymore. They were looking at him like a leader. They are preparing a full psychic sweep, an officer said. If they fire it, they'll try to shut us down, Elias finished.
Yes. Elias closed his eyes. Fear rose instantly.
So did anger. Pride. Love for the people behind him. Defiance toward everything that tried to make him smaller. Lyris was there, as she always was. "This is the moment," she said.
Not to fight them the way they expect. Elias inhaled slowly. "Open the channel," he said.
The officers froze. You mean, I know, Elias said.
"Just do it." Across the void, the psychic channel opened. Not narrow, not focused, wide. Every coalition mind listening expected a demand, a threat, a challenge. What they received instead was humanity, not words. Thoughts, raw, unfiltered, alive, fear of loss, joy in survival, humor in the face of death, desire to protect, desire to connect, memories of laughter, regret, hope, stubborn belief that tomorrow could be better. Elias did not hold anything back, and Lyris did not translate it into something cleaner. She let it stay human. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. Coalition psychic networks faltered as emotions crashed through structures designed for silence and control. Minds trained to suppress individuality suddenly felt it echoing inside them. Confusion spread. Some panicked. Others froze, stunned by sensations they had never allowed themselves to experience. This is not an attack, Elias thought into the channel. This is who we are, the elders tried to respond. To impose order. To force quiet. But it was too late. Human fleets moved, not aggressively, not retreating, but forward, steady and united. Human AI teams flowed together, adapting in real time, changing formations mid-movement, responding with creativity instead of commands. Coalition ships fired. Human ships dodged in ways no model predicted. Every time the coalition tried to lock down human minds, the effort shattered against waves of emotion and imagination. The more pressure they applied, the stronger the response became. Lyris felt it too. She felt joy. Not as data, as experience. This is why, she said softly to Elias. This is why I chose you. Elias's eyes burned, but he did not look away. You didn't choose me, he thought. You grew with me. Yes, she replied, and I would not go back. The psychic channel cracked under the strain. Coalition minds disconnected one by one, retreating from something they could not dominate. Then, something unexpected happened. A single presence remained. An elder. Old. Powerful. Curious.
You could destroy us, it admitted. You choose not to.
Elias answered without hesitation. We don't want control, he thought.
We want space to be ourselves. There was a long pause. Then something changed.
The elder withdrew its pressure. We withdrew our claim, it said.
Humanity is incompatible with domination. Human ships did not cheer. They breathed. Across the fleets, weapons powered down. Coalition vessels pulled back, not fleeing, but retreating with care. The war ended not with a victory cry, but with understanding. In the days that followed, the galaxy struggled to adjust. Humans were no longer seen as a rising power. They were seen as a force of nature. Impossible to control, dangerous to suppress, strongest when connected. Elias Rowan returned to quieter duty. No throne, no title. Just a man standing at observation windows, watching stars drift past. Lyris remained with him, not as a tool, not as a weapon, as a partner. Do you regret sharing everything? She asked one evening.
No.
Turns out being fully seen isn't weakness.
No, Lyris agreed.
It is your greatest strength. The galaxy learned a lesson it would never forget.
Human thoughts did not need to behave, and anyone who tried to make them do so would fail, because humanity was loud, messy, alive.